follow stupid guidelines that are put out there by consumer, not consumer, but by sports drink manufacturers, you're going to die. Once again, these people have a syndrome. Do we, healthy individuals, need to worry about it? No, we don't. All right? We will self-regulate ourselves. But if you have that incapacity to do that, you're in trouble. All right? Go ahead and turn it. Actual symptoms and conditions. For hyponatremia, these are the symptoms that people will end up with. Impaired performance, bloating and swollen, faces, hands, legs, feet, nausea, vomiting, headache, altered level consciousness, seizure. Those sound a lot like the symptoms of dehydration put out by our accreditation. Heat stroke, impaired performance, confusion, loss of control, aggression, collapse, coma. Symptoms for dehydration, thirst. Go ahead and turn it. Here's the original list that we saw. Here's the appropriate condition to go with it. Muscle cramps, nothing. Nothing. It's not involved with anything. Thirst, dehydration, they got that one right. Good. Weakness. This could be hyponatremia, could be heat stroke. Irrational behavior, could be heat stroke. Reduced performance, could be hyponatremia, could be heat stroke. Headache, hyponatremia, most likely it's your brain swelling. Okay? Nausea. Now, let's just get this. If I'm dehydrated, is my body going to start throwing up liquid? It makes no sense at all. Fatigue. Once again, hyponatremia, heat stroke, dizziness. This is EAHP. This is one I kind of slipped in there on you. This is exercise-associated postural hypotension, low blood pressure. When somebody's running a marathon, your calf is known as the second heart, helping blood pump back into your heart. The moment I cross that finish line and I do this, what does my calf stop doing? Pumping blood back to my heart. I get faint, dizzy, collapse. How do I correct that? Stay laying down, put your feet up. Compression socks. That'll be in another couple months for them. All right? Confusion. Also hyponatremia, possible heat stroke. Okay? Bottom line, guys, this is it, done. Your body's going to tell you what it needs. If you need salt, you will crave salt. If you need water, you'll get thirsty. Trust your body, okay? Just trust your body. Listen to it. If you need to slow down because you're too hot, if you're running it and your body temperature gets to a temperature, your body will cut your pace down. You will automatically slow down. All right? You have no control over it. You're not going to kill yourself. You're not going to run yourself to death. Drink to the dictates of thirst. Dehydration does not contribute in any way to any illness associated with endurance sports. Hyponatremia, not associated. Heat stroke, not associated. Postural hypertension, not associated. Not associated with any of them. Okay? To optimize performance during prolonged sports, you need to ingest carbohydrates. This is where I'm a big fan of the sports industry, drink industry. Gatorade is good. It has carbohydrates in it. Gatorade is not good because it has electrolytes in it. Coca-Cola is good. It has sugar in it. And caffeine and sodium. I'm a Coke drinker during marathons. There is no need to increase your daily sodium intake above what's dictated by your appetite. Marathon's coming up, add a little extra salt to everything. You don't have to. If you crave salty stuff, eat something salty. All right? Body's telling you. There's no need to ingest sodium during exercise at all. You don't need to do it. Don't do it. Save your money. Okay? It's just going to make your stuff look white. And then the bottom line, understand that much of what you believe about your personal well-being and performance is a result of the consumer marketing, not science. What most of these people believe, and I have the conversation every day with at least one of my clients about hydration and whatever, it's because they read a magazine. They're reading a review on a product that is being advertised 2 pages away. Magazines make money through advertising sales. I read a product and a review about your product because you buy ad time. You buy ad space. Magazines are not scientific journals. We do not read them to gain information. We, in this profession, read scientific journals, I hope. The consumer, our clients, read magazines. Just because your client comes in and says, I read this in Runner's World that I should drink X amount, don't just blindly agree with them. If you don't know, say, I don't know, I'll go look it up. I'll shoot Brian an email to see if he knows. I'm happy to answer it for you. Don't blindly say, oh, Runner's World? Yeah, got to believe that. You don't. Men's health, different story. I mean, six-pack abs every 3 months. It's worked for me. It has not. All right? So just remember, see what your clients are reading. Don't just believe what they're reading. Do the research. Find out what is, not what you would like it to be. Any questions, guys? I tried to make it as fast as possible.
I have a question for you. So if you're ingesting during a competition carbohydrate-based fluid, you know, or what's the study said, and how long it actually takes to get into the system to be effective?
Yeah, there's a rate of absorption for all types of food, all right? So basically the way you boil it down is you have solid food, semi-solid food, and liquid, all right? What you're basically doing is, like anything else, you're thinking about what that solute concentration is. What's the concentration of that? And there's an optimal number. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it's around like 300 mmol per liter or whatever it is. So if I eat a piece of solid food, there's really no liquid in that. I mean, there's some. Like if I eat a Cliff Bar, it's pretty dry. So I have to hydrate that thing before it can actually be absorbed into the system. So it takes a lot longer to break that down, hydrate it, and get it in. When you get to the semi-solid, like the gels, if you notice, especially with all those gels, they say take the gel, but follow it with a like 6-ounce glass of water. That's to dilute it into once it hits the stomach. The gel hits the stomach, the water hits it, it's going to go into you faster. There's more liquid content in the gel than there is in the solid food, and then you have just plain liquid. And then you have a variance of that liquid, a highly condensed version. Like when I'm doing an Ironman, my water bottle, 20 ounces, has about 800 calories in it. That's not really liquid, all right? It looks liquidy, flows like liquid, but there's so much stuff in that liquid that it doesn't get absorbed the same way water would, or a lesser condensed version of the drink. Optimally, what research in sports say, when you're active, they recommend 60 grams of carbohydrate on an hourly basis, which is about 240 calories. So if you have a drink that you're taking in about 240 calories and say about 20 ounces or less, you're about right on to your optimal fuel absorption. It differs for everybody. Some people are up in the 300, 350 calories an hour in that same kind of liquid aspect, but that's individualized. People got to test it out. I would say start around 250. Liquid's going to absorb faster. The more solid the food gets, or the more condensed the food gets, the harder and longer it takes to get that food back. Once carbohydrates hit your mouth, you have sensors in your mouth that are wired directly to your brain. Your brain, once you put Gatorade in your mouth, your brain says, energy's coming. Keep spending what we have. Okay? I got a new check coming in this week from work. I can spend what's in my bank account. If I don't know if a check's coming in, the body starts to kind of slow stuff down to retain some of that energy. They're doing research right now. I haven't seen anything finalized where they're actually testing the effect of putting carbohydrate substance into your mouth, swishing it around, and spitting it out. Actually not ingesting it, how's performance get affected? Because now that could come into, I can only stomach 250 calories an hour, but I can fool my brain into thinking I'm taking in 500 calories an hour. I can't wait until it comes out to see, but that's what they're looking at for that.
So if I drink a bottle of Gatorade, how long do I have before that takes effect? Meaning, if I'm going to go,
and then half of that empties in the next 20 minutes, and then half of that empties in. So once again, it's going to come down to how condensed is it, how much did you drink. All right, it's definitely time released on by the amount of, and how much you can process through fast.
less than 20 minutes is a waste of time.
If you're doing anything less than an hour, I wouldn't even worry about it. Our body retains about 3,000 calories worth of carbohydrate stores that are used for activity right off the bat. You don't need to take on calories in an endurance event unless you're going to be burning more than 3,000 calories. All right? My blood sugar level alone, I can handle this. All right? I don't need to take anything in. Psychologically, it may be appropriate to take some in, but if you're running a marathon, like 3 hours or a half marathon, you don't need to take anything. If you're doing something longer than 3 hours, you want to make sure you're taking in some calories, all right? Because you are going to start breaking down your body. You should take those calories in sooner rather than later, allow the body to have time to break it down and get to it, all right? But for instance, in a short Olympic triathlon, takes me 2.5 hours, maybe I take 1 gel. In an Ironman event, takes me 11 to 12 hours. I'm going to eat 300 calories on the bike from the moment I sit on that bike. And I'm eating just to try to stay ahead of the deficit. All right, so it depends on how long it is. Under an hour, don't even worry about it.
I think it's also dependent upon the person. As you as an individual, probably 60 grams is sufficient enough an hour, but for somebody my size I've heard like 30 grams.
Yeah, I'm saying 60 grams as the upper limit. Yeah. Anything below that, yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you corrected or pointed it out. Like somebody who's 100 pounds doesn't have the necessity to take in 240 calories an hour. All right, it's all going to be about, and it's also about the ability of you actually processing it. In my last race, I had major GI issues. You would think I would not have GI issues, right? I mean, I'm doing something on hydration. But I took in, when I was aiming for 300, 320 calories, which is what I'd done in the past, I mistakenly started taking in about 360 calories an hour. All right, mile 70 of the bike, which is a good, I don't know, 3.5 hours into it, I started getting sick. Started throwing up. Stomach's just trying to get rid of this excess. Wasn't good, didn't work for me. All right, it was a mental mistake, screwed up. All right, so it's individualized, you got to practice it. Like I say, when you're out on your runs, even though you don't need to necessarily do it, take in some calories. Also, your heart rate and how intense you're working will affect how well you can break food down and the complexity of that food, simple sugar or more complex carb. All right, so what you can eat in a marathon, you might not be able to eat doing a hard half marathon. Because your pace is faster, your heart rate's higher, you can't process it as well. Okay? Any other questions? That's it? I'm that good? I'm that logical? Was that great of an explanation? Love it. All right, awesome. That's it for me. Guys, my cards are over here. My email's on there. Honestly, feel free to email me any questions you have about endurance sports in any way, whether it's hydration, whether it's training, anything of that nature. I'm always available. One of the other coaches, Travis, who works with me, is in the back. You can grab one of his cards too. And I have a blog I don't really upkeep well on, but there is one on there about muscle cramping, and there's one on there about dehydration, or at least the first part of this, which is a little bit more in depth. All right, if I ever get the other parts up, it'd be great. All right, awesome.
Thank you.